Okay, histograms. Question number 1. The incomplete histogram below gives information about the times and minutes cars were parked in a car park. Whenever you do a histogram question, the first thing you must always write down is this. Frequency density is frequency over class width. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do histograms here. I'm just going to take you through the questions because otherwise it would take too long. First of all, I do the table. So frequency density, you need a column here. That is frequency over class width. You can do this one. 35 over 10 is 3.5. So you know between 30 and 40, which is there, that must go up to 3.5. So the first thing I do is mark that on. That goes up to 3.5. And from there, you can work out the scale. So it's going to go down to 0. You can also work out the bottom two as well. So you can mark these on your histogram. Then what you've got to do is work out what the frequency is. We know the frequency density for 0 to 30 is 1 because we've worked the scale out. So what you need to do is frequency, which we don't know, but class width we do, which is 30. So you're left with the question, what divided by 30 equals 1, so it must be 30. This one here, the same thing. We know the class width is 20, and we know it goes up to 3, the 40 to 61. There you go. So what divided by 20 gives you 3, and the answer is 60. So you can fill that lot in. They're tricky histogram questions. I hope you get one that's just draw a histogram with this data because they're a little bit fiddly, but that's how you do it. Question number 2. Call centre received 64 telephone calls one morning. The table giving information about the lengths in minutes below. There we go. Again, write down frequency density is frequency over class width. You must have that down because otherwise it won't make any sense. And this just says draw a histogram. So what we're going to do, not even going to look at the bottom yet. Frequency density is frequency over class width. Class width is 5, there it's 10, there it's 15, there it's 10, and there it's 5. So work that out. And once you work that out, you can just plot your histogram. Frequency density goes up the side. The highest it goes up to is 2. So make a nice scale for yourself. And then use your class widths, fill it in. Should look something like that. I've shaded it in because it won't show up very well on the video otherwise. Question number 3. The histogram shows information about the weights of some containers. This one I thought was nasty because it had a lot of very fiddly numbers, but you do it in the same way. First of all, write down your formula for frequency density, and some of them you can work out already because you've got the frequency and you've got the class width. So you can use this information to start putting your frequency density points on your graph below, and I'm going to show you that. That top one is 0.016, and that's between 0 and 1,000. So if we go to 0, this one here, 0 to 1,000 is 0.016, which is there. I don't like working in decimals like that, so what I did was I hid all the noughts there, look, and that makes it much easier to understand what's happening with the scale and to see what it's going up in. So 0.004, 0.008, 0.012, and 0.016. Once you've done that, you need to work out your other ones at the top, and I'll leave that there. Hopefully you can figure out how I've done it, and I'll also show you the histogram below. There you go, so you can get it filled in. Okay, question number 4. The incomplete histogram and table gives information about the distances some teachers travel to school. Frequency density is frequency over class width. Start with your table, start working out the things you know. 15 over 5 is 3, 20 over 5 is 4, 10 over 20 is 0.5. Once you know the top two, anyway, the 3 and 4, you can mark them on your frequency density axis, then you can work out the scale, which is so and so, and then you can start working out your missing bits of data in here. Let's have a look at the 10 to 21, for example. You know it goes up to 2.5, which is there. So you've got something over the class width, which is 10, equals 2.5. So the frequency must be 25, because 25 over 10 is 2.5. That's how you work those ones out. Question number 5. Tom asked the number of students in his class, how many hours they watched television last week. You've got a bit of his histogram. Right, we're going to complete the histogram, but we've not got the information in a table, so let's have a read of it. 8 students watch television between 10 and 15 hours. So that's 10 to 15, and we're told it's 8 students here. So that must be 2, 2, 2, and 2. Use this information to complete the table. 6 students watch television between 0 and 10 hours. So this lot here must add up to 6 students. Well, if we know that in there is 2, we know that in there is 2, and those two added together, because that would be 1 and 1, so that would be 6. No students watch television for more than 30 hours. Work out how many students Tom asked. Now the way I've done it is just gone through it, blocked it off, and written on how many students are in each bit, and once you add that lot up, you will get the answer of 25. Question number 6. Some trains from Manchester to London were late. The incomplete table and histogram gives out. Okay, so frequency densities, frequency over class width. Fill in what you know. So 16 over 5 is 3.2. 10 over 5 is 2. 8 over 20 is 0.4. And start putting those bits of data on, which is there. And obviously you've got to set your own scale here, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. You've got to work out what the frequency is for between 10 and 20. You can't, well, hopefully you can see it, but you were given this in the exam paper. I've just shaded it in. It goes up to 1.2, so you know the frequency density is 1.2. So what over 10 is 1.2? Well, it's 12, and that's how you figure it out. Yeah. Question number 7. Lots of these. Frequency density is frequency over class width. Like I always say, write that at the top. There you go. This one, use information to complete the histogram. To complete the frequency, use the information in the histogram to complete the frequency table. It's a little bit different, this one. Frequency density is frequency over class width, so this is what I've done here. You've got to basically find these missing values here. So you need to work out your frequency densities, which is 10 over 10, which is 1, 15 over 15, which is 1, and so on. Then you can mark them on your histogram. So between 50 and 55, it goes up to 4.8, I think. So what over 5 is 4.8? Well, it's 24, and that's how you, and you do the same method for the one below it. That's question 7. Question 8. Incomplete histogram showing sunflowers. Again, frequency density is frequency over class width. Work out the ones you know. So you've got 30 over 30, which is 1, 40 over 20, which is 2, and 18 over 30, which is 0.6. Mark your scale on, which is what I've done here, because the first one, look there, 100 to 130 is 1, so that's 1, and I've marked that up the side. And then you can fill out the last two, shouldn't be too much of a problem, and then you can also go back and rework these ones. So 130 to 150, 130 to 150 goes up to 4.2, because it goes up in 2s. So what divided by 20 is 4.2? Well, it's 84. Question 9. The table and histogram show information about the length of time it took 165 adults to connect to the internet. Frequency density equals frequency over class width. Do the ones you know. None of the adults took more than 40 seconds, which we can see. Use this information to complete the histogram. It's the same as we've done for about the last 4 or 5 questions. Your complete histogram should look something like that. So write on your frequency density up the side. Work out the ones you already know to work out the ones you don't know. And I don't think it's, I think this is a separate question. Doesn't say question 10, but we'll call it question 10. The histogram shows information about the time it took some children to connect to the internet. Now what I've done here, I've shaded on the different bits so you can see it on the screen, in case it doesn't come out very well. 110 children took up to 12.5 seconds to connect to the internet. That's what we're given. So up to this point here, we know that that is 110 students in there. If you count the number of squares in there, it is 220. So 220 squares is 110 students, so each child is worth 2 squares. Because it says, work out an estimate for the number of children who took 21 seconds or more. So 21 seconds or more. There's 60 squares there, there's 96 there. Add them up, you get 156. So divide that by 2, and that is 78 students. And there are your questions on histograms.